All right, all right, all right. Welcome everyone to yet another week of Tabletop RPG 101. Oh, wait, I had the wrong thing going. Hold on. There we go. I'm joined here today by my students. And this week's topic is player character backstories. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let's see if the group Discord will work. Oh, did they change something? Hold on. Or does it? Oh, I have to log in again. Okay. Hold on, technical difficulties. All right, here we go. So, yeah, now that that's working. Okay, so hold on. Of course, the timing. All right. So, okay, there we go. So this week's topic is, of course, player character backstories. The topic has won by a landslide with, hold on, with 7 votes. The other two topics, which were main character syndrome and tabletop etiquette, were in fact um, not voted on whatsoever. So, with that being said, I've put some extra care into this topic for you guys, since you guys wanted this really badly, apparently. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and uh, get started. We're going to start with, of course, by defining what a player character backstory is. A player character backstory is a narrative that fleshes out your the player character's a player character's history, motivations, and personality before the events of the campaign. It serves as a springboard for role playing, decision making, and creating a deeper connection to your character. And of course, before we go into how uh, backstories can be made, we have to ask ourselves, why are backstories important? Well, there are 3 main reasons for uh, for a backstory to be important. So this time, however, I do believe you guys can get this. So we're gonna ask you guys in the Discord to take a crack at um, making your guesses, your educated guess. And I will let you know that each of these three have each of these 3 reasons are labeled with 2 words. So let's see if you can get them or describe them. And we're going to start with Bones.
Hello, Jedi Master.
Hello, Master Anakin.
So, so we're going over the importance of the backstory and what it serves in to basically the game and the roleplay experience as a whole. One thing, as you said, it does help flesh out the character, but it also kind of it helps explain a lot about the character it's because if your character acts a certain way or does things in a certain way and there really isn't any reason for it, it I don't know, I do feel that a backstory is basically the foundation of the character, and it also, if implemented correctly, can help immerse the player in the story in the game.
Yeah. So that is actually a verbatim description of enhanced roleplay, which is in
Oh,
fact the
nice.
first, which is in fact the first reason for why backstories are so important. Enhanced roleplay, uh, as you described, a backstory provides context for your character's actions and reactions, making them feel more authentic and believable. Without reasons for your character to act certain ways, well, why are they acting that way in the first place?
Isn't
So,
it like
yeah.
yeah,
So,
it's like Raging Bull for an. Oh, go
oh
ahead.
no, go
Sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, like, Raging Bull, an example. It's like, why is he such an idiot? Why is he so. Why does he not understand, like, civilized society and everything? And basically put, his backstory is that he grew up with a bunch of ragtag, rough motley crew of mercenaries, and he never really had to be around normal folk and normal society, so that's why everything like this is so new to him.
Right. Right. That's a perfect example of like, enhancing the role play. Thank you. All right. So go ahead and plush yourself, please, as I bring up Kieran, aka Lily, to see if they can name another or describe another.
All right, unmuting myself before I confidently speak on mute once again. I think Bones took mine, but I'm going to go with the collaborative storytelling aspect because your backstory is how you fit into the world around you. Your backstory not only has to do with you and your character, but in particular, how the world around them has affected them, what events in their life has shaped them, but more importantly, it's a way that you get to express a modicum of control in reverse. Because in the same way that the world shapes your character also shapes the world around them. And in the same way that your character gets to shape the world around them, they will shape other player characters and other people's stories by being part of it. So the backstory is where you start and gives you your place in the world where you began. And from there you're taking your journey. The rest of it is just extra writing.
So that is actually a vague description of campaign integration, which is in fact the third reason why backstories are so important. Because a well-crafted backstory allows the game master to weave your character into the campaign world and create personalized plot hooks and challenges. So that way, of course, as you stated, the world can shape around your character, but also you shape the world. Your character shapes the world that the game master has created for you. So go ahead and pleasure yourself, please, as I will go ahead and give you guys the last uh, backstory reason, important backstory reason. The second one that was not mentioned yet is called deeper connection. By understanding your character's past, you'll naturally feel more invested in their journey and decisions. There's a thing that writers try to do for their audience, and that is make the main protagonist feel relatable in some way, shape, or form. But, however, when it comes to character creation and creating their backstories, you have to give yourself a reason to feel connected to your character. Next, we are going to go ahead and move on to the next segment, which is called Backstory Pitfalls. Backstory pitfalls are basically another term for things that game masters absolutely hate when players do this in their backstory. So there are 5 of them. There are 5 main reasons or 5 main things that game masters truly hate when it comes to creating player character backstory. So I'm going to go ahead and call upon my classmates again to see if they can name them. Make sure you only name one at a time, please, or try to describe one. Starting with Bones.
So when you brought this up, one immediately came to mind, which I like to call less is more. And this is when you go overly detailed, or you, when I hear a lot about a lot of problem players, DMs always describe them as coming in with their 20-page backstory involving their character. And yeah, I can tell that you're like wincing in pain. If
Yes.
so, you have to kind of keep things concise. You have to leave some details vague. You have to leave maybe some names out, so you can essentially let. It's basically like getting the ingredients and cooking the dish yourself. But in this case, the DM is the chef. You give it to someone. You give the ingredients to the DM, and they cook up the dish. In my honest opinion, this.
Yeah, yeah. You nailed it. But yeah, so that pitfall is actually something I like to call the epic novel. Um, so players, listen, get it. We get it. You have enthusiasm, and we love your enthusiasm. However, we appreciate it more if your story is concise and focused. Uh, if you do have a lot of stuff you want to put in, then focus on fitting a story as grand a scale as yours into 2 pages or less. If it goes anywhere near or anywhere over 2 pages, then you got to do a rewrite. You got to approach the story all over again, because otherwise, more than likely, the game master is going to really struggle integrating your backstory into the campaign. But yes, thank you.
Remember, folks,
Thank you,
you are not Leo
Bones.
Tolstoy, folks.
Thank you,
I'll flash you
Bones.
myself.
Yes. All right. Starting. Okay. So since Azaran is here, let's go ahead and see if Azaran has one that they can name. Go ahead and name a reason, or go ahead and name something that a game master absolutely hates. Uh,
Uh,
when it comes to
the
backstories.
stuff from the DM in the backstory. By that I mean saying, "Oh, this happened in my backstory," when it was not written out and given to the DM.
Um, that is more of a that is more of a different type of situation. That's not really a backstory pitfall per se. That is more of a problem player that has turned into the but that's what my character would do type of player. And as I've stated a few times on stream as well as in a previous topic, the that's what my character would do problem player is the type of player that uses their character's personality or backstory as an excuse to act like an asshole or to be an asshole. Um, and when it comes to hiding backstory elements, that is when you, the player, have essentially turned into a problem player because hiding backstory elements often suggests that there's some elements in your backstory that is not real is uh NSL or NSFL, not safe for life. So though that was a good answer, that is not really a backstory pitfall. That is more of a player red flag.
In that case, a different one could be putting stuff in the backstory that goes against the established boundaries of the campaign.
That is uh that is actually a good one. Uh so it yes and no. Uh cuz either way uh so yes, game masters hate it when you go against the world, but it is actually at that point where game masters will actually ask you to rewrite. Um, so hiding, it's the same thing as like hiding information. If you're gonna hide information from the game master, that is usually a sign of you again being a problem player, but also a sign of you doing what you just stated, which is going against having your backstory going against the world that has been shaped by the game master. This all this leads to signs of the player not caring whatsoever about the game master's hard work. But again, those are two really good answers. But I will have to ask you to pledge yourself as I see if Lily can get one.
Which button do I press? Because I've not been on one of these for a long time, so I
Oh yeah,
don't remember which button to
move
press.
to audience. Or I don't worry, I got you. All right. So there you go. Come on up, Lily.
So Bones did the less is more. So I'm gonna take the opposite. Too simple to work with.
Not quite there.
And this one is
Not quite there. If you were to go more extreme.
too vague. Let me collect my thoughts though,
Yeah.
please. Too simple to work with is absolutely far too vague. There's basically no names in the backstory. What little backstory there is so simplified, it could have been anybody. But at the same time, there's no motivation, no real there's no real room for development because there's nothing there. And the say with older characters, you expect them to have experienced a lot more,
Yeah.
and the character's backstory has maybe enough lived experience to be a teenager. What happened to all the other years? Who did they meet? What did they do? And there's just empty space or a whole lot of make the DM fill in the blank. Which isn't to say it's terrible, but it is exactly that, making the DM fill in all the holes, like that one that like that one sequel to Zork where the hero had to go fill in all the holes.
Yeah.
You make the DM do all the work on helping you build your character essentially, because you have no idea what you're doing and you have barely any basis of your own for it.
Yes. This, though not as extreme as the actual pitfall, the pitfall that you are gearing towards is actually stated as the blank slate blues, which means you put in no backstory whatsoever. No backstory leaves. Oh wait,
Soup can just redeemed hydrate.
everyone hydrate, please. All right. So,
Ugh, I have finished my water.
So, but yeah, so the blank slate blues, no backstory leaves the game master with little to work with. Which is why game masters really appreciate it if you provide some details and hooks for the game master to incorporate. Now, though, I will state this, that it is okay to leave blank names. Though, however, the game master does expect you to know or have a name for them when they come up.
At the very least, your mother and father should be listed with names.
Yes. Now, but nevertheless, it is always okay to be vague. It is always okay to have little backstory, but it is never okay to have no backstory. There is only one very valid reason for you to not have a backstory. Well, actually, excuse me, two. One is you're using a pre-made character. a character that is provided by the game master or by the campaign itself. 2, you are a brand new player. You have never played before. It is in that case where you, as a player, must work with the game master to provide or create your first backstory, which game masters will do if you talk to them. But yeah, thank you, Lily, for your inputs. Go ahead and pleasure yourself, please. We're gonna call Bones back up. There are 3 reasons left, or 3 pitfalls left.
Okay, I think I might have one. So someone comes forward with a character and they're like, oh, they've been trained by the best swordsman in the land and they've slain all variety of beasts and everything like that. They've set themselves up as being very capable and doing all these things, only to then realize that the character is level 1. And it's like, how are you this capable? How is your character this capable if you're like, for instance, if you're just writing up a character for a level 1 campaign, if that makes any sense?
Right. Yes, so that is what falls under Mary Sue syndrome.
Oh my
So,
god.
so yeah, players, listen, listen. Leave your Mary Sues in fanfiction lemons, all right? Avoid creating an overpowered or flawless character. Flaws and vulnerabilities make them more interesting. If the game master doesn't find your character interesting, they have no reason to incorporate their backstory into the campaign. I've actually done this before, where someone actually actually gave their character Mary Sue syndrome, and I just did not give them a player character quest or anything. I left their player character their player character story did not affect the campaign at all. Their character didn't matter because their character wasn't interesting. If take this into consideration. If your player character isn't interesting, then by if your player character isn't interesting by story standards or by gameplay standards, then they're not going to be interesting to the world, which means they're not going to matter in the world. And therefore, your character is going to be treated like they don't matter. But yes, thank you, Bones. You've made me wince in pain again.
Oh my god. I seem to be good at that.
All right. Go ahead and pleasure yourself. Thank you. And we'll go ahead and get Azaran up here. There are 2 pitfalls left.
I'm going to go with the opposite of having one that is too interesting for the campaign. Having a backstory that's too interesting for the campaign that should be done at a different campaign.
That is still Mary Sue syndrome.
Oh,
Because You're basically just putting your character so into the world that you're leaving no room for the other characters to fit. But go ahead and
I cannot. Yeah.
oh, you can't
I can't think of anything else.
all right. That's okay. Go ahead and plush yourself. But if you do come up with an answer, go ahead and raise your hand. And I see Lily has a tidbit.
So the only other thing I can think of is the no room to grow or the never able to grow type of backstory, where the character, despite everything they've gone through, hasn't changed a single bit, will not change a single bit, and for all intents and purposes, the backstory just doesn't seem to matter.
So that still goes under Mary Sue syndrome. Cause so the thing about a Mary Sue is that a Mary Sue character is designed straight up to not have any room for improvement whatsoever. Because everything is just handed out to them on a silver platter. When everything is handed to you on a silver platter, do you really learn anything in life?
Nope, but that was all I could think of, so I will
Yeah.
plushie myself again. Yeet!
All right. So, Bones, do you got another? Oh, yep. Bones has a tidbit.
So this might be a shot in the dark. It might actually be part of the Mary Sue syndrome, but part of me is thinking the overly tragic backstory.
So, not really. That actually
Oh,
falls under a
oh,
different. That one falls under a different category.
oh, okay.
Which is known as the lone wolf.
Oh, the edgy one. Okay.
Yeah. So, while a loner backstory can be intriguing, uh, the when you do this, you fail to consider incorporating connections to the world. You put yourself, yes, you may have put yourself in the world, but there's no connections you have in the world. If you're
Yeah.
a loner, then you're not going to get by. That's just a straight up fact.
Yes.
There's
Just
also no reason to insert you into the campaign.
yeah. If your constant response is like your squall from Final Fantasy VIII, you're just like whatever, hair flip. It's kind
Yep.
of like it's like I can't really do anything with you. Come on, man.
Yeah, pretty much. But yes, that was
Look,
good, Bones.
thank you.
All right. So, but does anybody have any other uh shots they would like to take? There's only one more. Which I'm surprised none of you have gotten this yet. All right. Let me take a look at the chat here. Doesn't look like it. So, oh, hold on. Someone's typing. Okay. So yeah, I'm actually really surprised none of you got this. So, and this is number 2 actually on the list. Plagiarism Patrol. Game masters hate it when you copy and paste a backstory that has already been used whether it's one that you use in a previous campaign or one that you have or one that is a complete copy and paste of a character from a movie, TV show, anime, book. We hate it. We want originality. Also, another thing that you got to keep in mind is, so like, for example, me, I stream my sessions, which means if you use a copy and paste backstory and I don't find out about it, that puts me in trouble because I'm allowing it. By plagiarism hurts everybody that is involved. If you're going to inspiration from a pre-made story is perfectly okay, as long as you, of course, let your game master ahead of time know that there is some inspiration taken from so and so. Like, there's a character I play as that is named Rudo, and I have stated a few times that well before the campaign even started, that my character is a knockoff or inspired version of Zuko from The Last Airbender. As long as, and this is where rule number 1 of tabletop comes into play. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Communicate with the game master. Don't leave us sitting in the dark. That's our job. All right. But now we're going to move on to the next segment. And we're going to go into the crafting of a captivating backstory. And I've broken the process of making a character backstory down to 5 simple steps. So, first, we're going to do, so the 5 steps, I'm just going to name them off. We're not going to go through a guessing segment here. The first step is starting with the basics. Give your character a name, a race, if classes exist in the campaign or job, whatever it is that is class equivalent, give them that class. How old are they? And where were they born? Second step is to define your character's core. Or what Santa said in Rise of the Guardians. What is your center? What makes you you? This is where you ask yourself, what are your character's values, goals, and fears? And do not say they don't have a fear. because again, that falls under the Mary Sue syndrome, and everyone fears something. Everyone. Step 3 is to shape your past. Describe key events that shaped your character, including relationships, triumphs, and failures. Step 4 is weave connections. Mention significant individuals, organizations, or locations from your past. Call of Cthulhu does a really good job at forcing this step. In Call of Cthulhu, Call of Cthulhu has a function where the game master must incorporate character backstory elements into the main campaign. Because that is one of the ways a player character can regain sanity. Next, I'd like to, and next, the final step is leave loose threads. Include unresolved issues, secrets, or goals that can tie into the campaign. So, for the people that are in the Discord with me, we're going to go over some exercises. We're going to use 2 templates that's so the first template is one that I've created. And the second template we're going to use from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. So the first template, I am going to, in fact, put in the sidebar for you guys. But do keep in mind that, so for the first section, only like 1 to 2 word answers. And for the other ones, do no more than 2 sentences. So here we go. All right, here we go. So here's the template. I'm also going to throw the template into the Twitch chat. Though it is going to be, hold on, let me see if I can fix that here. And when you guys are done, go ahead and when you guys are done, go ahead and post it in the sidebar. And for those of you that are on Twitch, go ahead and you feel free to participate in this exercise. I am going to try and fix the template here in the chat, though, so that way it's easier for you guys. There we go. Okay, yeah, it's not gonna fix itself. So see if you can try to separate them if you can. But yeah, feel free to participate in the exercise. And I, of course, am going to participate in this exercise as well. So I'm going to pull up a blank sticky note here. And I am going to actually say my stuff out loud as I write it, because I want to uh, uh, make you guys feel included. So for my character, I'm going to name my character. Let's see here. We're going to name him. We're just going to name him Hat. His name is Hat. And what race is he? Well, he's a hat. A living hat. What class is he? Well, he's a hat. And what age is he? Well, we could say that he is a 30-year-old hat. And then what is his hometown? Well, we could say he is from a town called Toyland. Core values. And it's 3 to 5 words. Well, let's say his core values are shelter, protection, protection, and um, and height. Next, defining moments, 2 to 3 events from his past. Well, he was made in a hat hot. I said hot. Hat shop. Was sold to a traveler and then finally got lost in the wind. Now, if you guys haven't caught on by now, this is more than likely a character that would fit in the tabletop Fate. Okay, significant relationships. His maker and his owner. Notice how, in this case, I didn't give him a name. I'm choosing to let the game master name them. However, I do know that I will still know that it is the maker and the owner that Hat has significant relationships with. But also, he's a hat. And his open hooks, well, his only hook that he would have would be find his way back to his owner. All right. But there we go. We have our character. Our character is named Hat. Their race is Hat. They are indeed a hat. Their class is, well, a hat. And they are a 30-year-old hat. They were made in Toyland by a hat shop owner. And they were sold to a traveler, but he got lost in the wind. And now he wishes to find his owner. I'm going to take a look at. Okay, so Azran is the first one to be finished. The character's name is Raza. They are human. And their class is monk, all right? They're 18 years old. Hometown is called Feldum. Core values, knowledge, friendship, and trust. Okay, I'm liking it so far. Defining moments. Town got raided. Library got an artifact delivered. Was a part of adventuring party, but is now rusty. Okay. Giving them a reason to be a level 1 is actually a really, or not to be as skilled as they used to, is actually very good. Significant relationships. A librarian, one town over from Feldum, all right? And then open hooks. Raiders got away with the artifact. Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. Character has a personal goal. I love it. Now, just waiting on the other two. And while we wait on them, I'm going to go ahead and pull up Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Wait, no. Here we go. And okay, Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Here we go. There we go. So, All right. Oh, okay. Bones has submitted their character. All right, let's take a look. So the character's name is Dorian Sunwood. They are a half-orc. Their class is a wizard. um, they are 23 years old. Hometown is Elrin Forest. Core values: preservation, knowledge, and equity. Is that equity or is it supposed to be equality? Uh, all right. Yeah, equality. All right, got it. Defining moments: abandoned by his tribe at a young age. Okay. Adopted by the elven druid of the forest. Driven to leave the forest by the elves around him for not fitting in. Okay. Significant relationships: his adopted mother. Open hooks: to find his parents, find out why they left him. Who were they? Were they forced to give him up, or was it for another reason? To prove that not all orcs or half-orcs are mindless brutes. And now he's wishing he put druid instead. But however, I do like that. It's an interesting this character is already interesting to me. Now we got Lily. Lily has not submitted theirs yet. So while we wait for them to submit their character, I want to go over the other template, which is provided for specifically D&D characters that I highly encourage people to use when they don't know what to do with their backstory. And so and this template is actually in the very first chapter of Xanathar's Guide to Everything. And the chapter is called This Is Your Life. Hold on. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and read off the first several segments. Okay. Chapter 1, This Is Your Life. The character creation rules in the player's handbook provide all the information you need to define your character in preparation for a life of adventuring. What they don't do is account for all the circumstances that shaped your character during the years between your birth and the start of your career as a member of a class. What did your character accomplish or experience before deciding to become an adventurer? What were circumstances of your birth? How large is your family? And what sorts of relationships do you have with your relatives? Which people were the greatest influences on you during your formative years, for better or worse? To answer these questions and more, you can use the tables and the advice in this section to compose a well-developed backstory for your character, an autobiography of sorts that you can use to inform how you roleplay the character. Your DM can draw from this material as the campaign proceeds, creating situations and scenarios that build off your previous life experiences. Okay, there we go. All right. So Lily has submitted their character. Character's name is Rain. They are water genasi. And they are a sorcerer. They're 24 years old. Their hometown is a nomadic tribe that lives in a desert region or temple of Saloon. Core values: generosity, empathy, harmony, compassion, and courage. Defining moments: when Rain was young, he helped his family carry water along their nomadic routes to other villages. This taught him to value the value of generosity and to value the diversity of life. When Rain was 7, he felt a higher calling and dedicated himself to the worship of Saloon, joining the coastal temple where he focused on himself, focused on self-improvement, being shut away from the outside world. When Rain was 20, his magic awoke and he felt called forth from his temple. Thus began his pilgrimage into the outer world to find himself in his place and his place in it. Significant relationships: Argo, Deluge, Storm Song, the High Priest, and Gale Winddancer, the tutor. Open hooks: Rain has one shard of ancient obsidian dagger that he has been tasked with finding the final pieces of, that he may destroy the relic of his rival temple. This part of his pilgrimage. He cannot return to his home until he has completed this quest. So there you go. It's actually a pretty good one. And this is actually the probably the maximum you could possibly put. Because any more than that turns into TLDR. Too long, did not read. And this is why, that's why the template is what it is. Because that template that I created is it gives you the maximum of what you can do. But yes, so now we can continue with Xanathar's Guide to Everything. So ideals are ideas, not rules. Even though these pages are full of tables and die rolls, they don't make up a rule system. In fact, the opposite is true. You can use as much or as little of this material as you desire, and you can make decisions in any order you want. For instance, you might not want these tables to help you decide who your parents and siblings are, because that's among the information you've already come up with. But you can still use other parts, such as the section of life events, to provide added depth and detail. Such as a young street urchin pilfers a pouch and, to her surprise, becomes the new owner of the spellbook. How and when to use the tables. If you're comfortable with letting the dice decide a certain fact about your character, go ahead and roll. If not, you can take charge and make the decision, choosing from among the possibilities on a table. Of course, you also have the option of disregarding the result of a die if it conflicts with another result. Likewise, if the text instructs you to roll on a table, that's not meant to be taken literally. You can always make your own choice. Although these tables are meant to augment the step-by-step character creation process in the player's handbook, they don't occupy a specific place in that process. You can use some of them early on. For instance, it's possible to determine your parents and other family members immediately after deciding your character's race. But you could also wait until later in the process. You might prefer to establish more facts about your character's game identity, such as your class, ability scores, and alignment, before supplementing that information with what's offered here. Section by section. This material is divided into 4 sections, each addressing a different aspect of your character's backstory. Origins. To find out who and where you came from, use the Origins section. When you're done, you'll have a summary of facts about your parents, your siblings, and the circumstances under which you grew up. Second, personal decisions. After you have selected your character's background and class, use the appropriate tables to determine how you came to make those choices. Life events. Your character's existence until now, no matter how brief or uneventful, has been marked by one or more life events. Memorable happenings that have had an effect on who you are today. Supplemental tables. Your life has intersected with the lives of plenty of other people, all the way from your infancy to today. When a result mentions such a person, you can use the supplemental tables to add needed details, such as race, class, or occupation to that person. Some tables in the other sections direct you to one or more of the supplemental tables, and you can also use them any other time you see fit. Origins. The usual first step in creating your character's life story is to determine your early circumstances. Who you were, or who were your parents? Where were you born? Did you have siblings? Who raised you? You can address these questions by using the following tables. Oh, and by the way, there's a letter here. So, where are you from? Uh-huh. And the people who did the procreation thing to make you, are they still alive? Okay, cool. You know, I actually don't care. I'm just making small talk while my minion sneaks up behind you. Ha! Made you look. Lion of... Is it Comer? Or Camara? I'm just going to call you Lion, but hello. We might be winning, we might not be. So, what we're going to do now... what we're going to do now is I'm going to go... I'm going to call upon each of you one at a time. And we're using the characters that you have just made in the sidebar of the Discord, we're going to use these tables as yeah, we're gonna use these tables, and if you'd like, if you like the results that you get, feel free to keep them and perhaps use them in a future character in a future campaign. So we're gonna start with Azaran. All right, so we're gonna use Dorian Sunwood, or no, not Dorian Sunwood, Raza. Excuse me, I mixed up here. We're gonna use Raza, and we're gonna use the tables on the on Xanathar's Guide to Everything to further shape their backstory. And again, these are mostly guidelines, so you do not have to take them literal or as fact. You can turn them around as you wish, but I do encourage you to at least note down the results you get in case it gives you ideas for a future character that you wish to play as. So, first things first, go ahead and roll a D100 to see if your character knows who their parents are.
That is going to be a 83.
83. And so they in fact do know who their parents are or were. And because they are human, we can skip this section. Now for your birthplace, roll another D100, please.
Okay. 68.
68. You were born in a barn, shed, or other outbuilding, which basically means it's your choice in that matter, but you were born in an outbuilding.
Okay.
And then siblings. Well, actually, first, okay, so, oh yeah, so you might be an only child or one of many children. Your siblings could be cherished friends or hated rivals. Roll on the number of siblings table to determine how many brothers or sisters you have. If you are a dwarf or an elf, subtract 2 from your roll. Then roll on the birth order table for each sibling to determine that person's age relative to yours, older, younger, or born at the same time. So, go ahead and roll a d10. What was that?
8.
8. Okay, roll a d6 now, please.
Okay. 1.
1. All right, so you have 3 siblings. And now we got to determine the birth order. So for your first sibling, okay, sibling number 1, go ahead and roll 2d6.
Okay. 5.
5. So that sibling is older than you. The second sibling, go ahead and roll
Okay.
again.
That's going to be a 7.
They are older than you. And then for the third sibling,
Okay. 7.
they are also older than you, which means you are the youngest. Next, family and friends. Who raised you? And what was life like for you when you were growing up? You might have been raised by your parents, by relatives, or in an orphanage. Or you could have spent your childhood on the streets of a crowded city with only your fellow runaways and orphans to keep you company. Use the family table to determine who raised you. If you know who your parents are, but you get a result that does not mention one or both of them, use the absent parent table to determine what happened. Next, refer to the family lifestyle table to determine the general circumstances of your upbringing. The results on that table includes a number that is applied to your role on the childhood home table, which tells you where you spent your early years. Wrap up this section by using the childhood memories table, which tells you how you were treated by other youngsters as you were growing up. So go ahead and roll a D100 to determine your family.
53.
53. So you grew up with a single father or stepfather. And because it was a 53, an odd number, it is your birth father, which means
Okay.
your mother is absent. So go ahead and roll a d4 to determine where your parent is, where your mother is.
3.
3. Your mother abandoned you. Next, roll 3d6.
8.
8. So your family lifestyle was poor, which means in your child in the next die roll, take away 10. So roll a d100 for your childhood home.
Um, 81.
And does that include the minus 10?
It was a 91, take away 10 for an 81.
Okay. So though your lifestyle was poor, you still managed to grow up in a large house. Now, this is where I need to ask you, is your character an already a D&D character?
No.
Okay. So then because you got an 8 on your lifestyle, we'll say that your charisma score is an 8, just for sake of simplicity, which means your charisma modifier would be -1. So roll 3d6 and add your charisma modifier to the result.
14.
14. Your childhood memory is, I had several friends, and my childhood was generally a happy one. Next, we move on to personal decisions. Your character's life takes a particular course depending on the choices you make for the character's background and class. Background. What would their background be?
I would have to say, Scholar.
Scholar. Okay. So go ahead and roll a d6.
Okay. 3.
I became a scholar because I was always an avid reader, and I learned much about my favorite topic on my own. Next is class training. So your character's class, as you stated in the sidebar, is monk. So go ahead and roll a d6.
1.
I became a monk because I was chosen to study at a secluded monastery. There, I was taught the fundamental techniques required to eventually master a tradition. Life events. No matter how long you've been alive, you have experienced at least one signature event that has markedly influenced your character. Life events include wondrous happenings and tragedies, conflicts and successes, and encounters with the unusual. They can help to explain why your character became an adventurer, and some might still affect your life even after they are long over. The older a character is, the greater the chance for multiple life events, as shown on the life events by age table. If you already chosen your character starting age, see the entry in the life events column that corresponds how old you are. And because you've already determined your age, we don't have to roll for it. Your character is 18, meaning that they only have one life event. So go ahead and roll me that sweet D100 again, please.
Okay. 67.
67. You spent time working in a job related to your background. Start the game with an additional 2d6 gold pieces. So go ahead and roll those 2d6.
9.
Cool. Which means if you had a character sheet, you would add 9 more gold pieces to your wallet. And that is your character's backstory. Templated backstory. There you go. So, and again, do keep in mind that this is purely a guideline. This is not factual, which means you could modify it in any way you wish. But if you were to use this in an actual campaign, make sure that you talk to your game master, because again, communication is rule number 1. So, with that being said, go ahead and plush yourself, please. Yep. And we'll go ahead and move on to Bones to form a backstory for Dorian.
Hello.
Hello. So, Dorian
So,
Sunwood. They are half orc.
yes.
All right, let me scroll up. All right, so first roll that D100, please.
Okay, D100. That is going to be a 49.
So, you in fact do know who your parents are or were.
Oh,
And you're a half orc, right?
yes.
All right, roll a D8.
Okay, D8. That's a 1.
All right. One parent was an orc and the other was a human.
Oh,
Next,
nice.
your birthplace. Roll a d100.
Yes. 50.
50. You were born
Yes.
at home.
Ooh.
Next is your siblings. Roll a d10.
Okay. D10. 9.
9. All right, roll a d8.
Ooh. 7.
You have 10 siblings.
Oh my god! Mom and Dad were busy.
so
Damn.
in this case, this to make things go by faster, roll a d10, and this is gonna determine how old you are in comparison to your uh, siblings.
That's a 10.
That means you are the oldest.
Why, Mom? Why, Dad?
And
Oh, dang.
then next, we're going to determine your family. So,
Okay.
but let me see here. If I remember correctly, your family has already been defined by an adopted mother.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So, which means we can skip that table and instead move on to absent parents. So, roll a d4 for your father.
Okay. D4. That's a 2.
Your father was imprisoned, enslaved, or otherwise taken away.
Oh.
And now roll a d4 for your mother.
Okay. That's a 3.
Your mother abandoned you.
Oh. Why, Mom? Why?
Next, roll 3d6 for your lifestyle.
3D6. Okay. That's a 2, a 1, and a 1. So 4 in total.
So your lifestyle was squalid, which means the next die roll you need to minus 20 from the result.
Okay.
So
What dice is that again? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
so which means for this D100 roll you're about to roll, take away 20 from the result.
Okay. 20, so that's 50, 42, because I got 62.
All right. So 42. You lived in an apartment in a run down neighborhood.
Damn.
Now, is your character an already D&D character?
No.
Okay. So then because that 3d6 from earlier was a 5, right?
Yes.
All right, which means
Oh, sorry, it was a 4.
it was a 4. Okay, which means your charisma modifier is going to be a -4 in this case.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, and again, this is purely for simplicity's sake. So, uh, roll 3d6 and add your modifier to the total for your childhood memories.
Okay. That's 14, and I take away 4, so that'd be a 10.
All right. I had a few close friends and lived an ordinary childhood.
At least that part of my life is okay.
Next, if your character was a D&D character, what would their background be?
Sage.
Sage? All right. Roll d6, please.
Okay. 3.
I became a sage because I was always an avid reader, and I learned much about my favorite topic on my own.
Ooh.
So you and Raza have some similarities here. So
We're college buddies.
yeah. All right. And next, your character. So Dorian is a wizard. So
Yes.
next, we got to determine why you became a wizard. So roll a d6, please.
Nice. Okay. That's another 3.
I became a wizard because I grew up listening to tales of great wizards and knew I wanted to follow their path. I strove to be accepted at an academy of magic and succeeded.
Yes.
And next, because your character is 23, go ahead and roll a d4 to determine how many life events you have encountered.
Okay, D4.
Yeah.
Okay. 3.
So you have 3 life events.
Nice.
So roll a d100 for your first life event.
Okay. That's a 36.
36. You made an enemy of an adventurer. Roll a d6.
Oh.
An odd number indicates you are to blame for the rift, and an even number indicates you are blameless,
5.
which means you are to blame for the rift.
Dorian, what did you do?
Use the supplemental tables and work with your DM to determine this hostile character's identity and the danger this enemy poses to you. Which means we have to pause the life events here and move on to the supplemental tables to determine who your enemy is.
Oh. Yeah.
Which means supplemental table. First, roll a 3d6, please.
3d6. That's an 11 in total. A 2, a 6, and a 3.
So your enemy's alignment is true neutral.
Oh.
Next, we got to determine their class because they are an adventurer. So roll a d100.
Yes. Okay. That's a 25.
25. You made an enemy with a cleric.
Oh.
Let's see here. No, that D100 it gets skipped. Okay, this D100 though does not get skipped. So D100.
Okay. D100. That's a 53.
53.
Yes.
You made an enemy with an elf cleric.
Oh, this is starting to fit.
And well, we can't determine the relationship because the relationship is already hostile. So, and next 3d6 to determine their status.
Right. That is a 9, a 5, a 2, and another 2.
They are alive and well.
Damn it.
But there you go. That's your enemy right there. Your next life event, roll another d100.
And that will be a 28.
You got married. If you get this result more than once, you can choose to have a child instead.
Oh.
Work,
Oh, I'm liking this.
work with your DM to determine the identity of your love interest. Which means you do not roll on the supplemental table for this unless you wish to.
Okay. I would like to if
All right.
that's okay.
All right. So then we pause the life events here, and then we go to the supplemental tables here. Okay. First, you got to determine their alignment. Roll 3d6, please.
Okay. That's a 10, a 5, and a 4, and a 1.
All right. They are true neutral.
Nice.
Next, determine their occupation. D100, please.
Okay. That is a 38.
38. They
Yes.
are an exile, hermit, or refugee.
That makes sense for this character.
Next, we got to determine their race. D100,
Okay.
please.
60.
60.
Yes.
That's an elf.
What the hell?
You felt you
Damn!
you got married to an elf. And relationship we can skip because you're considered indifferent. And next you got to determine their status. 3d6, please.
Okay. That's another 10, a 1, and 4, and a 5.
They are alive and well.
Damn it. I mean, wait. Yeah, good.
All right. Next, your third life event, which you said that you got a 3, right? On your
No, I haven't rolled on the third life event yet.
no, as in like you got a 3 on the D4 for determining life events.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so this is your last life event then. So D100.
58.
8. You spent time working in a job related to your background. Start the game with an extra 2d6 gold pieces.
Nice.
Go ahead and roll that 2d6.
2d6. 7.
So you start with an extra 7 gold pieces.
Yay!
All right. And that's your character. Go ahead and plush yourself as I bring up Lily, aka Rain.
Ta-da!
All right. So now we got to determine Rain's backstory. First, we got to determine if they know who their parents were or were. So roll D100, please.
All right. That would be an 81.
81. You know
Yep.
who your parents are or were. And because you are a water genasi, we skip these tables and we move straight to birthplace. D100, please.
That's a definite 80.
80, all right. Give me a moment. You were born in an alley or street.
I mean,
And
makes sense.
next, you got to determine your siblings. Roll a d10, please.
6.
6. Roll a d4.
1.
You have 2 siblings. So roll 2d6 for your first sibling.
5. 4 and a 1.
Your first sibling is older than you. Now roll again for your second sibling.
9, 6 and a 3.
Your second sibling is younger than you, making you the middle sibling. You're the Malcolm in the middle.
That tracks.
Next, next we got to determine your family. So, D100, please.
That would be a 19.
19. So, because it was odd, that means you grew up with a paternal grandparent, which means both your mother and father are absent. Roll a d4 to determine the fate of your father.
3.
Your father abandoned you. Roll another d4 to determine the fate of your mother.
3.
So your mother and father abandoned you. And now roll 3d6 to determine your lifestyle, your family lifestyle.
That would be a 12. 2 5. 2 5s and a 2.
All right, which means you lived a modest lifestyle, which means there are no modifiers to this next roll. So roll a d100, please.
26.
You have no permanent residence. You had no permanent residence. You moved around a lot. And because you rolled a 12 on the, because you said you rolled a 12, right, on the family lifestyle?
Yes.
All right. So which means is 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 this version of Rain on a character sheet or no?
This version of Rain should be on at least one character sheet.
All right. Do you remember what their charisma modifier is?
Yes, give me one moment while I pull it up.
Yeah.
+3.
Okay. So roll 3d6 plus your charisma modifier.
Total of 10.
I had a few close friends and lived an ordinary childhood. Next, what would your character's background be?
His background is acolyte.
All right. So, give me a moment here. Roll a d6, please.
One.
I became an acolyte because I ran away from home at an early age and found refuge in a temple. Next, because they are a sorcerer, we got to determine why they became a sorcerer. So, roll a d6, please.
That would be a 3.
I became a sorcerer because my immediate family never spoke of my ancestors, and when I asked, they would change the subject. It wasn't until I started displaying strange talents that the full truth of my heritage came out.
Well, that also tracks.
Next, because your character is 24, I need you to roll a d4 to determine how many life events you have.
A 1.
All right, so you only got one life event. So roll d100, please.
That would be a 7.
You suffered a tragedy. Roll on the tragedies table, which
Oh boy.
means okay. Roll a d12.
10.
For a reason you were never told, you were exiled from your community. You then either wandered in the wilderness for a time or promptly found a new place to live. And that is your character's backstory. With that, go ahead and plushie yourself, please. All right. So, and of course, now that all three of you have your backstories, I will read you this. What's next? When you're finished using these tables, you'll have a collection of facts and notes that, at a minimum, encapsulate what your character has been doing in the world up till now. Sometimes that might be all the information you want, but you don't have to stop there. By using your creativity to stitch all these bits together into a continuous narrative, you can create a full-fledged autobiography for your character in as little as a few sentences. An excellent example of how the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Did you get a couple of results on the table that don't outright contradict each other, but also don't seem to fit together smoothly? If so, now is your chance to explain what happened to you. For instance, let's say you were born in a castle, but your childhood home was in the wilderness. It could be that your parents traveled from their forest home to seek help from a midwife at the castle when your mother was close to giving birth. Or your parents might have been members of the castle's staff before you were born, but they were released from service soon after you came into the world. In addition to deepening your own role-playing experience, your character's history presents your dungeon master with opportunities to weave those elements into the story of the campaign. Any way you look at it, adding definition to your character's pre-adventuring life is time well spent. With that being said, I would like to go into the additional tips segment. So, some additional tips for you to keep in mind when making your backstory. And this tip has already been stated multiple times. Tailor your backstory to the campaign setting. Consider the world's lore, factions, and conflicts. Next tip is think about your character's place in the world. Are they a loner, an outcast, or a part of a larger community? Third, collaborate with the game master. Discuss your backstory and see if they have any suggestions or ideas to integrate it into the campaign. Remember, your backstory is a starting point, not a rigid script. Be open to adapting it as the campaign unfolds, and have fun exploring your character's journey. By following these tips and using the provided templates I have given you, you can craft a backstory that not only enriches your own gameplay experience, but also excites your game master and provides them with valuable material to weave into the campaign, creating a truly collaborative and memorable adventure for everyone involved. So, with that, I humbly with that, I humbly thank all of you for showing up today. That is the end of the topic, and also the end of this week's class. We're going to find someone to raid as we close this out. Let's see here. Let's see here. Oh, Zake Senpai is streaming, and I haven't raided him in almost a year, over a year. So we're gonna raid Zake. So with that, here's the raid message for those who are subscribed. Oh, whoops. I'm goofed. But we're also gonna shout out Zake. Zake Senpai.
I don't
Oh
mean
god,
to be scary.
I'm dead.
Did he shoot you?
Oh god, fuck me. You got me. I got a pee so bad and that didn't help, so I'll be right back.
Oh my god.
I'm hiding in the church even though it's probably
I'm gonna go
not
take pee break. Holy fuck, dude, he ate my ass.
All right. All right. So here's the raid message for those who are subscribed. And let me copy that real quick. There we go. And here's the raid message for those who are not subscribed. Thank you guys so much for being with us this afternoon. And as always, I have been your game master, and your professor, Seth the Exorcist. And until next time, everyone, keep flapping those wings. Bye. Bye-bye.